Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folare. Sorry we're coming, slightly behind schedule. Our heartfelt apologies for that. Well, my guest this morning is Honorable Sergius Ogun. He's a member of the House of Representatives, in spite of the name, representing Esan Northeast and Southeast Federal Constituency of Edo State. You might have heard the name Honorable Ogun and think that, okay, we know where that one is coming from. He's coming from Ogun State. Not so. So a fine morning to you, Honorable Ogun.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Yori Folari in the studio here. I'm delighted to have you. You know the concern of every Nigerian, I imagine. We're talking about the currency change exercise and the harrowing experience all Nigerians are having of it. We also note that the Speaker on the House of Representatives has said that he's actually, considering calling back all you gentlemen. You're on vacation right now. Is vacation the right word, or break? You're on break so that you can go about your campaigning duties. Tell me, what exactly is the position of the House of Representatives? Because Honorable Gbajabiamila has said he was ready to sign the warrant for arrest of Mr. Emefiele, the CBN governor, because he's not above the law, if necessary. But as it was, all of that was averted when the central bank governor showed in the House of Representatives and met with you. So tell me, what's the position of the House of Representatives as we speak this morning?
Well, we don't have any formal notification of reconvening the House. But I also think what the Speaker said in his constituency of Surulere 1 about reconvening the House, it was a personal opinion of his in a campaign trail. I do not think he has consulted with the leadership of the House, which again is not a big deal anyway. He can do that any day, within a day, and we'll get the consensus of the leadership and then reconvene the House. But I think he's a very passionate person about having the rule of law. But that is why when you mention something about he was going to maybe sign a bench warrant for the arrest of the CBN governor if he had not appeared, So he's a stickler for that. If the law says this, we must obey it. But also to let you know, I'm a member of the ad hoc committee on the review of what the CBN is doing right now. And we're supposed to be meeting by 2 p.m. today. I don't know if that has changed. But we have additional information we're supposed to review. So as our last night, yesterday evening, we got a notification about a meeting today for 2 p.m. So, but I know the House is not resting on its oars. We are looking into it, and we don't want Nigerians to be suffering, and hopefully whatever can be done should be done. The CBN governor had, matter of fact, when he appeared, I think last week.
Yes.
Said, because the law is clear, Section 23 of the CBN Act, that both currencies can run. The redesigned can be running even after the expiry date. Sorry, the old one can still be accepted by the banks, even though there's no more illegal tender, but the banks can still accept them. That's the law, and the CBN governor read it out, and he said he was in agreement with the law and with the National Assembly, with the House of Reps. So there are no issues, really. I think it's just Nigerians that maybe are apprehensive,
Indeed. It's still a bit confusing because people still are asking just about anybody who they think can give an answer. They ask reporters, say, what's that they're saying about after the 10th? It's not as if the old notes immediately lose their value. It's just that you won't be able to spend them. And I think, I've read that the central bank governor has said that even after that 10th, old notes can still be submitted to the banks, can still be submitted, only they will have to do so through central bank. And as you know, the central bank is not a people's bank, it's a banker's bank. So all of these signals coming at this particular time, in fact, there's even a bit more confusion. I'm reading in one of the dailies this morning that the Supreme Court stops withdrawal of the old notes temporarily, so the thing says. So it's pretty confused. The president has continued to say, well, not that he's spoken very much in recent times, that's another story, but he had said right up to the commencement that there will be no going back on it. And as you know, up and down the land, you can see, well, let me just stay on currency. You can see up and down the land the anguish that it is causing. And quite frankly, I don't know if the word is misbehavior, that we're also seeing people taking the laws into their own hands, people creating spectacles in banks, and yet they say that there is no going back. I don't know, Honorable Ogun, let me ask you a direct question. Do you think that this exercise at this time, this close to an all-important election, is indeed, the right way to go?
I do not think it ordinarily should be a problem, but the institutions ought to do what they needed to do. Like the CBN governor said, it's about 100 days now, and people are beginning to embrace fintech. I'm talking about fintech and transfers in the world. I think I saw a data. I think we are supposed to be number 6 in the whole world. We haven't done badly, but I don't think, if you know, NCC has a policy of universal coverage. I'm talking about the underserved. The telcos, the telecommunication companies, pay a percentage of their income, their revenue, to NCC for this purpose. So, as we are today, we shouldn't be talking about people that cannot get a network in any community in Nigeria, because it's all be funded. So where I'm going to is, if we had covered the country, and even in the rural areas, people can make transfers, people have been educated on this, we won't be having the issues we're having today. In fairness to the CBN, I think we are talking about two different things. They are talking about going cashless. There's a limit of what you can withdraw. That same policy was on before Emefiele got to CBN, but he did not continue with it. That is the challenge. Now he's trying to reinforce it now, and you are redesigning the Naira about the same time. And like you rightly mentioned, just some few months to the election. That's why the panic is there. But I think if we had started this like a year ago, we won't have issues. So I still believe that Nigerians are just apprehensive of what is next.
Yes.
Ordinarily, it's a laudable policy. Why should you be borrowing money from China to print notes? I mean, we all travel out. You don't carry a lot of currency with you. We transact with cards. So but we are not there yet. So like I said, the apprehension is elections around the corner. Of course, politicians are moving money, expenses has increased, run up to the elections. But I believe it's a policy that is good for the country.
Okay.
In the long run.
Okay. Honorable Ogun, why do you think we are experiencing what we are in this country? And let me explain what I mean by that. We've seen videos appear of central bank officials inspecting commercial banks and finding new currency notes being hoarded in there. Banks refusing to, feed their machines. Of course, you know what happens then. So the banks seem to be pretending that those notes are not available. Central bank inspectors go around, they see that. We see it on video. The question I wanted to ask might surprise you a bit is, why are all those banking people not under arrest for sabotage? Why are these things being done in broad daylight? Even the tone of the central bank officials is pretty much conciliatory as far as I'm concerned. There's no outrage. There are no arrests. Bank managers are not put under arrest, and whoever, so that we know that this is dead serious, and this is in the nature of economic sabotage. If there's a policy that we're changing to new notes, the central bank, I understand that, I think it is in Edo State, I was reading this morning that they've released over $1 billion or something like that. But we see it in the vaults of banks, very unusual picture, but we've been able to see into the vaults of banks, and we see pristine currency notes stacked, not being distributed by the banks. why do you think this kind of a thing is allowed to continue? The police are seeing it, the SSS is seeing it, the EFCC is seeing it, the president is seeing it, and nobody's under arrest.
Well, my brother, I think it's the same Nigerian problem. We keep saying, okay, fine. You cannot have a constitutional democracy without the rule of law. The banks, I dare say they are doing this in cahoots with the CBN. Not just politicians, the big people in the society, of course, have relationship, personal relationship with the banks, bank managers, operational head, and all. And they want to be able to spend the new notes. So before the CBN governor appeared before us last Monday, I think what he has said, only ATM, that's where you can disburse money. But from there, he said, thereafter, they can disburse 20,000 naira across the counter. But how many rich men will go and queue to collect money in the bank? So it's easier for them to ask for like 1 million or 2 million or 20 million. And then maybe give a percentage of that to the bank. So, yes, to answer your question, we have the rule of law. What ought to be done is CBN from day one should have been going around the banks and inspecting if they were sure they were actually giving them money. And when you see such a thing, there will be arrest and you charge the person to court the next day. The court will hear and then the person goes to prison. I mean, I'm not saying that you pass the judgment.
Yeah.
He doesn't go home.
Yeah.
He doesn't go home. That's what happens to an average Nigerian. The minute you are charged, you go to court and the next day, okay, fine, you are going to prison. The next hearing day will be maybe next week or day after tomorrow.
Yes.
If you throw a bank manager in a Black Maria under the glare of everybody, every other manager will sit up because nobody wants to be so humiliated for peanuts that they're going to get from a politician or a big man. But we never follow that route. Instead, we begin to tell young people to go out there and demonstrate and break down banks and then the rest of it. Buhari is not there. He's not the one that is there masterminding all this. It's just the Nigerians.
Indeed.
But where the government has failed is to arrest the situation. So from day one, the CBN actually gave billions to states. You have a CBN branch in every state capital. If you know the amount of money you have given to branches, bank branches, or banks, you make sure they put the money out there. Tell us, Zenith Bank, so and so place, got this amount of money. Or Zenith Bank, Edo State, got this amount of money. They have XY number of branches. We expect XY amount of money to go to XY number of branches. Say it.
Exactly.
Let the people in that locality know. Send your officials there. If that was done from day one, we will not be where we are today. So I think the CBN officials and the commercial bank officials are all working together to just calm Nigerians. And that's why the hardship is there. And I also expect the president to step up, discipline people, sack people, jail people.
Well, yeah.
People will sit up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sergius Ogun, because, there are people who won't hold their breath. Because as you know, as we are right now, there's a shortage of those currency notes among the population, but they are available at parties. Now, this is facilitated by bank managers and their underlings. Everybody knows it. The governor knows it. The president knows it. And nothing is done. And this is where I imagine you can't really fault a person for becoming a bit suspicious that there must be, even though I spoke earlier about the central bank inspectors going around and seeing all these currencies, seeing the subterfuges that the banks are up to, and nothing is done. No bank manager has been pulled out. I don't want to emphasize that. No, it's been pulled out as a result of that. Say, come here, Mr. Man, what is this? Under your watch, all these currency notes are being hoarded. They're not being put out. How do you explain this? Whatever your explanation, first of all, let's deal with this. Let him call whoever if he doesn't know anything about it, so we know. But there's no transparency in the exercise at all. How I wish what you've just suggested, Honorable. Zenith Bank, Akpata, they got 17 billion naira. Apex Bank, Access Bank, they got this to put out to the public. So people know if they really wanted it to work. maybe it's because I'm outside the system, but it seems so simplistic. I would follow the cliche about it's not exactly rocket science, but it's being complicated and people are suspicious. People are suspicious that there's more to this than meets the eye. Although, the political parties, have varying views on it. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, has called for calm and has said that people should not misbehave, do not do anything that can be misinterpreted. The candidate of the PDP, on the other hand, has said that, just continue. There's nothing wrong with all of this. So what do you make of this kind of a scenario? And then, meanwhile, you have the government itself saying through Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, that the opposition is politicizing this routine, currency change.
Well, is the weakness in the system. The leadership today, as we have, as epitomized by the president of Nigeria today, is very weak. I say that without any apology. When you put out a policy like this and you want it to work, you read the Riot Act. You are saying there is no backing down. This is how we must do it. You also put measures in place to discipline people, that will not heed the instructions.
Yeah.
Erring officials will be disciplined. We haven't seen that. So that is why some of these things are happening. Yes, the presidential candidate of the APC has spoken up, but most people have also said, what is the issue? It's not just him alone. The APC governors, largely, some have gone to court. And I dare say, we have a country called Nigeria. Nigeria is a wonderful country. It's our responsibility to make it work. When APC or ACN, ANPP, those that came together to form APC, when they were in opposition, they would have supported everything that's happening today. That they are screaming the loudest tells me clearly they now have access to state funds. So it's our bet right now to use these state funds to buy votes and to remain in power forever. So is the inconsistency in all this? This was happening some 8 years ago, leading to the 2015 elections. I don't think it would have been the APC talking like this. They would have been the one to say, right on, Mr. President, you have done the right thing. So it's a hypocrisy in the system that the presidential candidate of the PDP says is okay. People have rumored that, he stashed some money somewhere, the new notes, and is ready for the election.
Okay, let me take this call.
The presidential candidate of the APC,
Honorable, I beg your pardon, Honorable Ogun. Let me take this call. It's for Fidel in Owerri. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I want to say that this situation has again exposed the level of corruption in this country called Nigeria. A situation where even the bankers, Nigerians as a whole and so on, everybody wants a quick way of making money. And by so doing, they frustrate the entire system. They frustrate people. It's really unfortunate. Central Bank must have found its faults by now. Its mistakes by now. One had expected a situation where the situation would have been effectively monitored, monitoring the distribution of the money, supply of the money, and so on. And then the security agencies would have found those who are holding this money, those who are into shoddy deals, and punish them appropriately. Extension, I still believe, extension of time is not even the solution, because even if it's extended to the next 200 years, that last minute rush will still be there. Nigerians will still experience the problem we are experiencing. Let them supply this money. Let people have access to this currency. Let central bank go back to the drawing board. Liaise effectively with commercial banks so that they will do the right thing. Those who fail should be appropriately sanctioned. It requires political will and courage. Thank you, and God bless and Fidel Onyeneke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onyeneke, for calling in. Okay, this whole question about the right thing to do, we're dealing in the banks, largely we're dealing with a bunch of accountants. So they know the right thing. But we have to say what we're saying, because somebody accused the other party, whatever was the other party, of doing all of this to harm the chances of some people. I just don't know how that coordination went and worked, where the central bank gave money to the banks for the purpose that we're discussing, and then the banks on their own, it appears, decide that they can sabotage the whole exercise by not releasing that money, and nothing happens. No comeuppance. So this is the part that ordinary Nigerians can't seem to fathom. But it is what it is. How soon do you think this can be turned around, Honorable Ogun, so we have a semblance of normalcy as we go towards the election? I imagine it can be fixed. I was particularly surprised, for example, as by way of a comment, since this exercise was announced, I had felt that having been announced, any ATM I go to, I will get the new currency notes. It did not happen, as you well know. Up and down the land, we were what, 2-3 weeks, maybe more, following the announcement, and the banks were still issuing dirty, but that's not the point. It's not about dirty, it's about old notes. They were still issuing old notes. If there were any dirty new notes, go ahead and issue them. At least we're all working towards the same objective of this policy change. So I don't want to be too much on this, but it's very, very suspicious that the banks, normally knowing that you don't joke with money matters, and normally knowing that all sorts of sanctions can apply, and these guys are professionals, accounting people, they still did what they did. Central banks saw it, was quiet, and then only in the past few days they began to go around and try to shift the blame elsewhere. Dare I say that there seems to be hand in glove with the central bank and the commercial banks, because I just can't see them, as we say in Nigeria, having the liver, having the liver to do what they have been doing. And so central bank can now say, well, come and see. They have the money. They are hoarding it. What do you mean they're hoarding it? Are you trying to say that you didn't know anything about this? Honorable Ogun, it's what it is. I see that you were expecting that. Where is the question in all of that? It's really, there's no question really, because the people that can answer the questions are the people that are being silent. As you know, do I have in Niger State Phillips? Philip, good morning, Philip.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please. Have you got a question for the honorable gentleman, or an observation?
There is a question that I want to ask. Breaking news. I saw it in BBC.
Please go ahead.
Hello?
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. I heard that the court has ordered the CBN governors so that they will continue to use the old Naira notes.
Okay, so you want to know the situation with that, right?
I want to confirm.
Well,
I want to confirm from you.
Well,
I want to confirm. Yes.
Okay. Can you see the scroll on the screen right now? If you can see, if you look at the scroll that's on the screen right now, it sort of answers to that. But then newspaper reports also talk about temporary. Newspaper reports are talking about a temporary situation. So I don't know. You know how the law is. One part will go to the law, the other part will also go. But so they're talking about a temporary. But in the meantime, pending when it sort of clears up so that we know exactly what we're up to, it looks like they're saying that there's no going back on the 10th, being the sort of expiration limit for the old currencies. That's the situation we have on our hands. But as I said, when we come to understand it better, all these things that are just coming out now in something of a rush as we are closing towards the election, is probably not really the most desirable. But I tell you what, thank you very much for coming in.